Hello and welcome to Mr. C History. Now I am in the middle of the New Forest, specifically in a place called the Rufus Stone, and this indeed is the Rufus Stone. Now why am I here? Well, on the 2nd of August 1100 a king died on this spot. He died in a hunting accident, allegedly. Was this a murder? The murder of a king, a murder most foul? Now, which king are we talking about? We are talking about William Rufus, William II of England, William the Conqueror's third son. William the Conqueror, when he died, like many medieval kings, he divided up his kingdom. Normandy, his perhaps favoured bit, goes to his elder son, a man called Robert Curthose. England, his new possession, goes to his other son, William II, William Rufus. He's called William Rufus either because he wore a red hat or he had red hair. A bit of a debate on all of those. Now, over his time as king, he develops quite a few enemies. For example, the barons, he's taxing them a lot to wage war. The clergy, he's trying to bring in new reforms, etc. And just generally the court around him, some suggesting that he's too much of a playboy, unmarried and not behaving very well. And of course, he's also got scheming brothers around him. Robert, one we mentioned in Normandy, he doesn't like the fact that his father split up the kingdom. He quite fancies having England himself. And there is a younger brother, one called Henry, who is very angry because he's got nothing. William the Conqueror had given his other two sons, you've got kingdoms. What does Henry have? He's nothing. He's a mere princeling in the court of William in England, William Rufus. So you've got an angry younger brother. So what actually happened? Well, William was out hunting here in the New Forest, like many kings do, and he was with his retinue of men alongside him, including Henry, his younger brother. Also with him was a squire called William Tyrrell, who was alongside him with his horses, etc. Now, rather interestingly, William got separated from the rest of the group. He was on his horse and sort of got lost in these deep, dark woods here. A bit unusual that. Suddenly there is a clamour, a clatter, was it? A deer running through the thicket or whatever. But William Tyrrell pulled his arrow, it hit an oak tree, sort of skewered off like shrapnel as it were, and it went straight deep into William's heart. William dies instantly, lying on the floor. What becomes interesting with all this is that his body is left there. Everybody runs away. William Tyrrell runs off, never seen again, apparently off to France. The rest of the hunting party also scarper, and within 4 days Henry is crowned king. And the king's body is actually discovered by some peasants walking through the woods, and unceremoniously William's body is dumped, carted onto their horse and cart and dragged, rather undignified, on a peasant's cart to Winchester Cathedral. A very inauspicious and undignified end to a medieval king. This is the Walter Tyrrell Inn, just down from the Rufus Stone where the murder had taken place, named after Sir Walter Tyrrell, the man who was William's sort of stooge, the person alongside him, meant to be looking after him, but the man who is accused of being the murderer, or certainly being the person who threw the arrow, who slung the arrow, which then hit the tree and went into his heart. What happened to poor old Walter? Well, he ran off and last was heard of being in France, so there we go. What happens to Henry, the younger brother? Well, he very quickly becomes king, goes off to Winchester and gets crowned in a very quick ceremony. And this all leads to the accusation, was this murder? Well, there's lots of motives going around here. Walter's implicit. Did he do it maybe to get free from William? Henry, well, he inherits the kingdom and he becomes a very aggressive king. Remember, he'd been jilted. He had been given no lands by his father. He was desperate for power. Here is his opportunity. Kill William Rufus, who has no heirs. Robert, King of Normandy, also benefits from this as well because he felt he could control his brother Henry and then launch an invasion. Indeed, that is what happens. A few years into the reign of Henry I, Robert Curthose invades England. It doesn't go very well, and Henry responds by invading Normandy, and it goes well for Henry, and Robert is ousted from kingdom there, and Henry in the end inherits both kingdoms through battle. There's also a lot of suspicious behaviour of here. People running off, people getting into ceremonies very quickly, the body being left alone, a king on his own to rot, picked up by peasants. Very, very unusual. Is this pointing to murder? Two other points just to mention which are interesting. Robert, the elder brother of William Rufus, his surname, well, his nickname was Curthose, which quite literally means shorty pants. Literally short trousers, but hosiery like pants, yeah. Why? Well, did he wear short trousers? Maybe. Is this a sort of criticism, or somebody making fun of him? I don't know, but rather interesting, that sort of name. No wonder things don't end up well for him. And the other thing that needs to be addressed is that there has been suggestions that William Rufus was gay, and this is part of the reason why the clergy was not so pleased with him. There's no actual direct evidence of this, and the evidence that's provided, I think, is shaky. Things like, oh, he was effeminate, he was unmarried, he didn't have children. This doesn't make him gay, and I'm not so sure all about that. Maybe that doesn't all play into the murder thing. Now, what about the evidence to suggest that maybe this actually was just a hunting accident and not a murder? Well, the main question always to ask is why? Why go to all this trouble of arrows firing off logs and huge retinues of people and ceremonies, etc.? Just poison him in his bed, or just stab him, or some sort of battle or something like that. I mean, it's a bit odd to do this. The other thing is that hunting accidents were actually very, very common. They were more common than murders. I've said to you, now William actually was William the Conqueror's third son. There is another son within this called Richard, who actually was the oldest. He had died a long time ago, before Robert and before, indeed, when William the Conqueror was still alive. What did Richard die of? He died in a hunting accident in the New Forest. So William's his older brother had already died in one of these. So it's a very common thing to have. These medieval kings were dying from these things all the time. And the thing about William Tyrrell, he runs off guiltily. Well, yeah, you've just killed a king. Of course you're going to run and abscond. Even if it was an accident, you still do this. And that whole thing about the ceremony being for William Henry being too quick. Well, yeah, I mean, there needs to be a new king. So maybe that's it. Quite interesting evidence there. So there we go, the murder and death of a king. Please do let me know what you think. I'm in two minds. As always, I go down the line of evidence and say probably it wasn't the murder. There was lots of death going on around then, just an unfortunate accident. But please let me know what you think. As always, please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.